Notre Dame adds to its already stellar group of defensive players in the class of 2023 with a commitment from in-state prospect Drayk Bowen out of Merrillville, Indiana. I'm Greg Ladke. I'm joined by Mike Singer, our recruiting expert for blueandgold.com. Mike, tell us how this all came together for the Fighting Irish.
One of his very first offers was back in the summer, around the summer of 2020, from the Cincinnati Bearcats. And of course, Greg, their defensive coordinator was Marcus Freeman.
Yep.
Chad Bowden, who's now the defensive recruiting coordinator at Notre Dame, he was with the Bearcats. So a player who Freeman and company knew very well when they moved over to Cincinnati. And then Notre Dame offered him about a month after Freeman got the job in South Bend. And the feeling right when Notre Dame offered him was that, man, Notre Dame's going to be very tough to beat. When the Fighting Irish are in that early, I think they were third or fourth offer for Bowen. So when Notre Dame's in on a prospect that early, he's just an hour away. In-state kid, Marcus Freeman leading the charge. Of course, he's one of Notre Dame's very best recruiters on staff. So a lot looked really good in Notre Dame's favor. A really big component of this recruitment, Greg, was baseball. His final three consisted of Notre Dame, Auburn, and Clemson. And three good baseball programs. Really came down to, even more specifically, you can narrow it to Notre Dame and Auburn. Auburn, of course, has a fantastic program there in the SEC. Really helped that Link Jarrett's program is in a good place these past couple seasons. Made a nice run last year. And then once Jarrett really kind of and his staff amped things up in the baseball recruiting side of things over the summer, Notre Dame was already the pretty clear favorite. And then it was like darn clear that they were probably going to get him. We visited Notre Dame twice over the summer, visited for the Cincinnati game, and had really good communication with the baseball staff at that point. And then the USC game was his last visit. So Drayk Bowen, number 22 player in the entire country for the 2023 class, per Rivals number 2 outside linebacker. Really good pickup for the Fighting Irish. He had some impressive offers as well. Again, when you look at that final three, Notre Dame, Clemson, Auburn, that's a pretty good group.
Yeah, let's take a look at his junior year film here. So this is from this past season. Remember, he's just a junior in high school. We're talking about a class of 2023 prospect here. What do you see as far as what type of player he is, Mike, and where and how he may fit into the Marcus Freeman defense?
Yeah, he's listed at 6'2", 215. I don't know if I'm crazy, Greg. Like, does he feel just like bigger and longer than that? Like, to me, like he looks like he plays at about 6'3", 225. Like, that's just like he's just a big physical kid. And
Yeah,
he's
he looks bigger in the pictures we just took of him recently. He looks bigger than that, no doubt.
yeah, yeah. He is a modern day inside linebacker to me with his athleticism. Talking about the fit in Freeman's defense. Honestly, I think he could play any of them. I think he could play Rover. I think he could play Mike. I probably like him the best at will. But this kid's instincts, his athleticism, he's really good running the football. Nice timing there with him at
and
running back and
and
catching
catching.
the swing. Yeah, he's just like, it's all about his athleticism. He's going to play baseball at Notre Dame as well and continue such a strong trend of Notre Dame having players in both sports. And this game on the screen right now is actually against Central Catholic in Grand Rapids, Michigan, home of Nolan Ziegler, 2022 Notre Dame commit. So he gets after the passer. He can cover. He can run stop. I mean, there's obviously going to be room for improvement for him, just as any high school football player going to the college level. But there's a good reason why he's a borderline 5-star prospect on Rivals, just because he's so well rounded as a football player. He can do it all.
So what's next at linebacker or on defense in the 2023 class? I know it's early, but I imagine for Notre Dame recruiting fans, they're going to feel like, okay, go get Sonny Styles, make this the best group of big edge athletes the Irish have ever recruited.
I mean, yeah, I don't know how long Marcus Freeman's going to be at Notre Dame. So, like, take advantage of it while you have him. Marcus Freeman is such a great coach, and he's going to be leading a program someday. So, they cash in with this 23 cycle. You get Bowen as your number one linebacker target, and then Sonny Styles, maybe it's like a 1A, 1B kind of deal. He would be a fantastic fit at the rover position. We've talked about him kind of being like that Isaiah Simmons type player. who was a start at Clemson and is now with the Arizona Cardinals, can play really anywhere from safety to defensive end. So definitely Sonny Styles. Salmon Pemba from IMG Academy. He's kind of this, he's another guy like Styles in that he's just so athletic. You could see him anywhere on the defense. Here, Notre Dame likes him at the rover position. There's a lot of talk about Viper and of him coming off the edge, but I hear rover for him as well. So, but again, Pemba could play anywhere. So it's a really good linebacker group from top to bottom. I mean, there's more targets we could talk about, but it seemed like Impemba, Bowen, and Styles have been the main guys to talk about.
Is there anything to be said for just when you get the in-state guy that's this highly ranked, and we should say that he is number 22 overall in the nation. Normally Rivals.com goes with somewhere in the ballpark of 30 to 32 or 33 5-stars at the end of the cycle. They routinely add more and more 5-stars. So if Drayk Bowen holds his spot, he'll probably upgrade into the 5-star status if he remains around 22nd in the nation. But my question was going to be just how important is it for Notre Dame to get the in-state kid? Would this have been a momentum blow to that class if he ends up going to Clemson or Auburn?
Yeah, I mean, for so many different reasons, you lose an in-state kid. For all those reasons why it made sense for Notre Dame to get him. Like if you lose him, that stings. And he's a big brand. Like these kids across the country know about Drayk Bowen. They see his film. They've gone and seen him at various events and camps and visits to Notre Dame, of course. So, he's a people like this kid. Like he's going to attract other prospects. Sonny Styles, they're good friends. Like Sonny had even told me after I interviewed him after they were both on campus for the Cincinnati game October 2nd. Styles told me that he's someone that I would like to play with. So he's not like a big social media kid and that he's not going to draw a lot of attention to himself. Like he's active on there, but he's someone who's going to recruit for Notre Dame. I remember my first recruiting class covering Notre Dame was the 2020 cycle. Like Drew Pine was similar in that. Not a big social media guy, but he recruited a ton for Notre Dame behind the scenes. Blake Fisher in the 2021 class, much more vocal and out there about recruiting guys like Rocco Spindler and others. Bowen's going to be a little bit more like Pine, and he's going to have an impactful ability to recruit for Notre Dame. And yeah, big perception win just across the board, talent perception, helping recruit other 2023 is big win for Notre Dame.
Yeah, and you'd think with him being just Merrillville's about an hour down the road. I mean, I don't want to speak for the Bowen family and their travel plans, but you would imagine he'd be at a lot of Notre Dame home games over the next, starting now and through next season, and being kind of that face of the recruiting program on the player side. That type of guy that you just mentioned, like Blake Fisher was, and yeah, that's huge because I feel like any great recruiting class needs a guy like that. That's kind of like always there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in 2022, you got Steve Angeli and Nolan Ziegler have kind of been that, if you will. And then 2023 so far, what a great start. Kind of transition into another topic, Greg. Keon Keeley. He's just outside the top 100 on Rivals. He's a 5-star in another outlet. Drayk Bowen, of course, close to a 5-star. Brennan Vernon, the defensive end from Mentor. He's the number 8 player in the country per Rivals. Don Schuler has been just outstanding as a junior. And then on the offensive side of the ball, Cedric Irvin Jr., top 100 running back from Miami, someone you saw earlier this season. He's a fantastic back with a great football bloodline, being related to Michael Irvin. And then Cooper Flanagan, a 4-star tight end, highly coveted by Michigan, Washington, and others. So early on in the recruiting cycles for Notre Dame, they're getting when they get these commitments, it's top of the board guys and players who just click with Notre Dame. Like they're the ones who say, why would I drag out my recruiting process much longer? I know Notre Dame's the fit for me.
Yeah, each at least 4 stars and a couple of guys that certainly could be 5 stars by the end of this cycle. Mike, appreciate your time. Great job covering Drayk Bowen. I know that he'll continue to be someone that you're in contact with as he takes part in helping Notre Dame form a top-end recruiting class in the class of 2023. So everyone, thanks for listening in. Hit like on this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out our weekly recruiting updates and live chats we have. So stay tuned to our YouTube channel. Thanks again.